All right, welcome to Talkin' Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk to you about Argo Blockchain. They trade on the NASDAQ under stock ticker ARBK. This is my very first Argo Blockchain video. I've been following them closely, obviously, all along for the last several years. However, I have not done a video yet, so you're going to see why I think now is the time to talk about Argo Blockchain. So we talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. If that's content that you guys are interested in, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could please smash the like button, it helps the channel out a lot and helps get these videos out to more people. So I really appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about Argo Blockchain. So I have so much to go through since I have not done a video on them yet. So I will try to be brief, but I want to give a little bit of history and I want to talk about their latest monthly update and I want to talk about where they're going. So I'm going to look a little bit at their investor presentation because it looks to me like Argo is on the brink of a breakout. So I want to talk more about that, and that's what I'm going to be digging into. Argo is now trading at $4.08, and this is on the NASDAQ under stock ticker ARBK. This is not their native exchange. So I just want to show you something real quick. Okay, if you're buying these on the NASDAQ, what you're buying is American depository shares. This is extremely common. There are many companies where you're buying American depository shares versus an actual share of the stock. However, I want to point it out because it does create a discrepancy in the price. Their actual shares are traded on the London Stock Exchange. So you're going to see different prices. So I'm going to follow along with the NASDAQ price, but I just wanted to point it out because depending on where you are in the world, this price might not look familiar to you. So this is the price that the ADSs are trading on the American Stock Exchange. Enough said. All right, let's get right to their June 2022 operational report. And then I'm going to give a little history on this because over the last 12 months, Argo has struggled from a production standpoint. So I'm going to go through that in detail, but I do think that it does look to me like they are about to turn the corner. So I'm going to go through this operational update and then I'm going to talk about why I think things have changed. During the month of June, Argo mined 179 Bitcoin or Bitcoin equivalents compared to 124 in the month of May 2022. So just to put things in perspective, when we get to my next chart that I put together, May of 2022 was a disaster for them. 124 was the lowest production they've had in the last 12 months and it's not even close. 179 in the month of June is a big step in the right direction, but more so than that, I think they are about to take things up a notch. So they say the increase in Bitcoin mined is primarily due to an increase in total hash rate capacity and greater uptime at the Helios facility compared to the previous month. Ultimately, what's happening to Argo, and this has been happening over the last 12 months, they've had a dramatic change in their operations. It looks to me like the vast majority, if not all of their operations, are going to end up in Texas. They have a 200 megawatt facility there. It's immersion cooling technology, and this is where they're headed. However, unfortunately, over the last year, there have been a lot of bumps in the road getting to where they want to go. So just a quick schedule I put together to put it in perspective. This is their last 12 months of production, starting with this month and going backwards. So you can see if I go back a year, they were producing 225 Bitcoin a month and then 206. So they're at 179 right now. They were as low as 124 last month. So you can see this is extremely inconsistent amount of Bitcoin mined per month. They have been very spotty about disclosing their active hash rate. They've had to move a lot of machines around. They've had to decommission machines. They've swapped out other machines for new machines. Ultimately, what they're doing is moving them all to Texas. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I do think this increase in June is the beginning of finally executing the plan that they've been working on for really the last year plus. So June is the best month for them in the year 2022, but you can see in the previous year, they beat that many times. So they are certainly not where they want to be yet, but they're moving in the right direction. Let's get back to the press release. Okay, another important thing. Argo generated this income at a Bitcoin and Bitcoin equivalent mining margin of 50% for the month of June. Okay, so that represented a reduction from 55% in the month of May. But the important thing is to know, even at this historic low level of Bitcoin, Argo is still mining Bitcoin at a 50% profit. In addition to that, they are selling their Bitcoin. So that means they're able to pay for operations. This is a cash flow positive situation at current prices. And again, prices could always go lower. But remember, at the moment, we are at at a historic lows in the Bitcoin price. We're down about 70% off of the highs from last November. We're trading in the low 20s. In fact, today we're actually a little under $20,000. So the point is, even at these numbers, they're still able to generate 50% gross profit margin. That does not include non-cash items like depreciation. Essentially, that means they have the cash to pay for their overhead and continue doing what they're doing. As of June 30th, 2022, the company held 1,953 Bitcoin, of which 210 were Bitcoin equivalents. So 1,953 is a reduction. This is as a result of the fact that they have been selling Bitcoin on a monthly basis. Okay, so which brings me to the next thing, financing update. During the month of June, the company sold 637 Bitcoin. So there you go, at an average price of approximately $24,500. So that's not bad. So they say the proceeds were used to fund operation expenses and capital growth, but they say as well as to reduce obligations under a Bitcoin-backed loan agreement with Galaxy Digital. So you guys know, if you've watched any of my recent videos, I am focused on liquidity for these Bitcoin miners right now. That is the key to survival. At this particular time in the Bitcoin cycle, right now it's about survival. Most people believe that some of these Bitcoin miners are not going to have the liquidity to get to the other side of whatever this bear market looks like. Argo has taken major steps to set themselves up to have the liquidity to get through this. These Bitcoin-backed loans made sense back at Bitcoin 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. However, unfortunately, at Bitcoin at its current price, a lot of companies are selling their Bitcoin to reduce the risk of having a liquidation. So Argo has done that. They've got this down to $22 million, and they're saying here they've got it in a spot where it's manageable. Okay, quickly, Helios update. During the month of June, delivery and installation of the company's S19j Pro machines ordered from Bitmain had continued in line with the timetable set out in September 2021. As of June 30th, 2022, the company had paid in excess of 95% of the total purchase price. So they bought 20,000 machines. They are 95% paid for. So that puts them in very good shape. They go on to say the company increased its total hash rate capacity to 2.2 exahash. The company remains on track to install all 20,000 machines purchased from Bitmain by October of 2022. Additionally, the company has continued to make progress in executing its machine swap agreement with Core Scientific. As of June 30th, 2022, 5,000 S19j Pro machines have been delivered and installed under this agreement. So essentially, they are doing a machine swap with Core Scientific, at the end of which all of their machines will be in Texas. They will have no more third-party hosting. They will be hosting all of their own machines. So this is, again, another step towards vertical integration for Argo. Many of the Bitcoin mining companies are trying to do this in order to avoid some of these unnecessary costs like hosting fees and to have better control of what they're doing, in addition to the fact these are newer machines and they anticipate them going into the immersion cooling. A quick look at their balance sheet as of March 31st. So this column is in US dollars. You can see they had current assets of about $228 million. And they had current liabilities of about $95 million. Now, we know that they had $58 million in debt that they have been paying down. This debt number will have decreased. They're using their Bitcoin that they're mining each month to do so. There are several other Bitcoin mining companies that have a much, much stronger current ratio. Here, they're over 2 to 1, 2.5 to 1, and they may even be at 3 to 1 by now. There are some that are significantly better than that. Their balance sheet is in decent shape, so it does look like they have the liquidity necessary to get through to the other side. Now I want to look at their investor presentation because this is an important page in the presentation. You'll see it says Q1 2022 they were at 1.6 exahash. They did not make any progress in increasing their exahash. What they did make progress on was increasing their infrastructure. So they made significant progress on that. You'll see they're saying 0.6 exahash gets them up to 2.2. So that's where they're saying they got by June 30th, although they were not at that rate all of June. Now, more importantly, this is why I see them turning the corner. They've gotten their facilities online in Texas. They are adding their machines. Their 20,000 machines, which are 95% paid for, are being delivered 3,000 machines per month from now until October. So sometime by the end of October, they anticipate another 1.7 exahash worth of machines to get them up to 3.3 exahash. And the deliveries just started in the month of May, I believe. So May and June deliveries have occurred. These will all be delivered by the end of October. So I'm looking at 3.3 exahash, if they have that up and running all at the same facility, vertically integrated with no hosting fees, they should be able to double the amount of Bitcoin they're mining at least. If we look at this chart, they mined 179 Bitcoin. So double that would be about 360 Bitcoin. On 3.3 exahash, that should be fairly easy for them to achieve. So as a result of that, I see them for the first time having maybe from this month to all the way through the end of the year, they should beat their monthly production on a month by month basis and get to the point where they have their all-time high production and get to the point where over the next 6 months, they actually double their production. So that's a dramatic change. They spent the second half of 2021 and the first half of 2022 really reorganizing their business model completely. Now comes the time where they get to implement that model. So you can see, I think that the next several months, they should be breaking their own record in Bitcoin mined per month every single month. Past that, they have over here in Q4 of 2022, another 1.8 exahash. This represents the ASIC miners that they bought from Intel. They have already subcontracted out to build the machines with those mining chips. So I don't know that they will get all 1.8 of those online before the end of the year, but all of that is in progress. So in addition to this 3.3 exahash, they should continue to grow past that. So I see them over the next 12 months having very steady growth. I would expect October to be in the mid 300s at least. If it's not, then I would say that this plan is not getting executed as they have laid it out. So again, please remember, none of this is financial advice. I'm trying to give you some background on this, and I'm telling you what I think my expectations are and what I will be looking at. So let's take a quick look at their chart and see what's going on with them. Okay, like all the other Bitcoin miners, they've had a massive pullback over the last 7 or 8 months. They were at a high on November 17th, 2021 at around $21. And again, this is on the NASDAQ. So these are the American Depository shares. From that high until today, they're down about 80%. That is in line with the rest of the publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies on the NASDAQ. So this has been a tough run down, but they actually have not run down really any worse than the rest of their competition. So I'm just going to look at a couple of potential price targets. And to me, these are potential price targets, I'm going to say, for the end of the year for me. And again, this is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence. What I'm looking at is to see if Bitcoin can get somewhat healthy over the rest of the year. And to me, that means it gets back into the $30,000 to $35,000 trading range, and Argo Blockchain can execute the plan that they talked about and showed in their investor presentation. Then the first target I would look at is on June 1st, Argo was trading for about $6.75. So that's about a 60% increase in the price of their stock if they can get back to just where they were trading just over 1 month ago. The next price target I would look at is if we could go back to the beginning of May, so that's just a little over 2 months ago. That would be a 100% increase in the price of their stocks. This assumes that Bitcoin gets somewhat healthy in the $30,000 to $35,000 range, and Argo executes on the plan that they laid out in their investor presentation. So I think this is a realistic price target for the end of the year. So I don't know if any of that's going to happen, so please do your own due diligence. You can see this is down 80%. Please be careful while investing. That wraps up my first ever video on Argo Blockchain. I hope this was helpful. If you made it to the end, please remember to subscribe and smash the like button, and thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next video.